Okay, this week we jumped all the way back down to chapter 2 for biotechnology. We discussed that biotechnology is just a living organism that is um, altered biologically to solve a problem for the human race. Um, so, like, when I say altered biologically, probably had its genes spliced, or was, or if it was a plant and back in the early times before, um, not science but modern technologies, uh, cross pollinated. But let's so like back in the ancient times, corn was a crappy inedible plant. It was just not good. Um, but then they figured out that it was cross pollinating, and they were able to pin that down with gene splicing later down the line. But it took many years to finally get a product of what we needed. Even and but when with the gene splicing, we could have done that with like a snap of our fingers. Um, and beer was a big product of that. Um, with wheat and barley. Yeah, I know that's not corn like what I just discussed, but and then we talked about DNA. The human species has 23 pairs of chromosomes, 23 from your mom, 23 from your dad. That makes up your genetic uh, makeup, and basically gives you all the facial features, your physical characteristics, and also your um, mental characteristics like emotion, not emotion, but personality. Um, back and let's see. Um, so then animals were also biologically uh, enhanced or changed, altered. It's whatever you want to listen to. Um, they it wasn't we weren't doing it to like mess with an animal's life. We were really doing it to kind of make their lives better and to make it better for us. So down in Mexico or wherever that what video you showed us, that was taken in a very hot climate. The chickens were just swelteringly hot, and so the scientists decided to remove all the feathers biologically, and then they weren't so hot. They still had the instinct to fly, but they couldn't because they obviously didn't have feathers. Which also fixed the problem of them flying out of the coop. My grandpa's chickens fly all the time. They'd be all over his place. I've never seen something like that from a chicken. He had badass chickens. Um, so also the glow in the dark rabbits and pigs. I don't know if that was like a mess up that was documented on the internet or to the media, but I can't wrap my mind around why you would need or want a glow in the dark pig or rabbit. The only thing I could see is like you can see him at the night, and that way you wouldn't hit him with a car or something like that. Ridiculous. But I mean, it's still research. Like they probably still found like they got further along with their research. They said, "Oh, it's not that gene that we need to be messing with." So, and also selective breeding. All these animals, they don't know any different. Let's just get that out of the way. Um, but with that cow that was like selectively bred, he basically just ejaculated into a jar or whatever a collection device. He he thought he was doing the right thing. What are you doing? Can you? Yeah. Um, that's all I got for the animal part. But like I said, all of them they didn't know any better. They're it's not ethically wrong in my opinion. I think if it can make if I was born hairless, that might suck, but I definitely would not get as hot. And then we talked about briefly waste management, where as we say bacteria are invented to help break down oils uh, for easier cleanup, like oil spills, like that have happened in the past. Um, and then we started talking about cloning for like the whole damn class, and I wanted to bring up kind of a point that is totally science fiction, but it was still something that I thought could be argued about. I just didn't want to speak up because we have a very argumentative person that I don't think I could hold up an argument against. So it was cloning humans even like animals, but more with the humans. I'm gonna make a huge Star Wars thing, but in Star Wars, the Empire was basically made up of clone troops. It took a lot of money to do all this, um, but they weren't expending like actual their civilians' lives. These clones were born in a facility. They were they were trained from uh, from birth to adulthood, and they couldn't know any better. They were only on one planet to be trained, and then they were sent out to be soldiers. I know this sounds really ridiculous, but I just thought since we were talking about cloning that it's something to bring up. But it's like we said about the animals; they wouldn't know any better if they were completely isolated and trained until they were in adults. How would they know? They were in a totally different space to grow up. Um, but that's all I got to say. Like if we could have like clones um, as like a military force that were more highly capable than regular people, I think that'd be pretty cool. Hella expensive, probably, but somebody's gonna argue with that. Um, and I don't think that would necessarily be ethically wrong. I don't believe we were talking about soul splitting. I'm not religious. I just the soul thing doesn't make sense. I feel like we're all living organisms that can evolve, that can uh, adapt differently. It's just I don't know. There's too many. It just doesn't make sense to me. So that's where I'm going to conclude this video tonight. Thank you.